Hey everyone, and welcome back to News to the Science, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. Here to bring you more news about Andrew Garfield appearing in future Spider-Man projects. Let's just hope that's the case and it's really gonna happen, because I'm excited for him and I actually want him to have a decent Spider-Man movie, since his last Spider-Man outing wasn't exactly as good as we had hoped to be. It was totally lackluster. I still stand by my opinion in thinking that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just not as good. I think it's the worst one out of all Spider-Man films ever made. That's just my opinion, and if you think it's a bad take, oh well, too bad. Anyways, before I get started, I want you guys to go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. I definitely appreciate it if you did. I've noticed a huge subscriber growth in my channel recently from my recent videos, and I thank you guys for that. We already hit over 8,200 subscribers just recently, and I'm so happy. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for subscribing. Of course, spam that like button. I think I already said that before. Join my Discord if you like. The invitation link to that is in the description box below. Follow me on social media like my Twitter and Instagram as well. Everything's down in the description box below, so you can follow me there. Without further ado, let's talk about Andrew Garfield wanting to return as Spider-Man in future films. Now, this is coming from an article that was posted a couple days ago by Josh Plains, and then I'm going to go ahead and discuss about it afterwards after I'm done reading the articles. So Andrew Garfield says he'd definitely be open to returning as Spider-Man in future movies after Spider-Man No Way Home if it felt right. Andrew Garfield says he'd definitely be open to returning as Spider-Man in future movies after Spider-Man No Way Home in 2012, following Sam Raimi's abandoned Spider-Man 4. Garfield inherited Tobey Maguire's web-slinging mantle via Mark Webb's The Amazing Spider-Man. For the most part, that film satisfied fans and critics. The lackluster reception of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 2014 ultimately resulted in Sony Marvel Studios' deal to reboot the character again in MCU with Tom Holland, which cut Garfield's tenure short. Despite Garfield's many claims to the contrary, Marvel Studios and Sony's No Way Home does bring back his and Maguire's Peter Parker Spider-Man. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. I mean, you're already on January 8th, so you should have seen the film by now. So if you're here watching this video, what are you doing here? Click away if you don't want to get spoiled. As the follow-up to Far From Home 2019, No Way Home sees Holland's Peter seek Doctor Strange's help in making the world forget that he's Spider-Man. The subsequent spell goes awry, pulling a slew of past Sony characters from the multiverse, including villains like Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, Jamie Foxx's Electro. Thankfully, Maguire and Garfield also show up to help Holland combat their respective villains and learn a thing or two about great power and great responsibility. The general consensus seems to be that Garfield steals the show, which I can definitely agree to a certain extent. I think he stole the show out of all three Spider-Men. This is Tom Holland's Spider-Man anyways, and it's kind of funny because there's a lot of jokes out there. At least I make the joke to myself that Tom Holland makes a cameo in his own film, which I think is funny, and a big applause to Andrew Garfield once again. He really does steal the show. His performance evokes so much emotion that I really felt bad for the guy, and I feel like his performance was really meta because of how he got shafted from his Spider-Man franchise. And I think because of his performance in Spider-Man No Way Home, he gets a shot at redemption to appear once more as Spider-Man in his own solo outing, of course. Now the internet wants to see Garfield return as Spider-Man in more movies. For the first time since the release of No Way Home, Garfield has opened up about his experience on the film. In an interview with Variety, the actor talked about what brought him back to Spider-Man and what it meant to him to get a chance to redeem his character narratively and commercially. When asked if he'd be open to come back to the character again, Garfield said he'd definitely be open to something if it felt right. And then here's a quote from him. So he says, and I quote, "I mean, yes, definitely open to something if it felt right. Peter and Spider-Man, those characters are all about service to the greater good and the many. He's a working class boy from Queens that knows struggle and loss and is deeply empathetic. I would try to borrow Peter Parker's ethical framework in that. If there was an opportunity to step back in and tell more of that story, I would have to feel very sure and certain in myself." Garfield also talked about how grateful he is to have been able to tie up loose ends for his Peter. The basis of Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, Sony executive Amy Pascal, and director John Watts' No Way Home pitch initial conversation with Garfield concerned closure. If his character were dumped into the MCU and faced a younger and older version of himself, how would he respond? That being asked, Garfield's No Way Home arc directly connects to the death of Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And in No Way Home, Garfield talks about how his inability to save Gwen still haunts him, and in the wake of that tragedy, he stopped pulling his punches as Spider-Man. In the final battle, Garfield redeems himself by saving Holland's love interest in a way he wishes he could have for Gwen. No Way Home reminds audiences that Garfield was and always has been a quality Peter Parker and Spider-Man. On top of that, it does award him and his character closure, while fans want more of him via The Amazing Spider-Man 3 or an appearance elsewhere in Sony's Spider-Man universe, fighting Tom Hardy's Venom or Jared Leto's Morbius. It risks tarnishing his bookend in No Way Home. Many worried his role in Spider-Man No Way Home would come off as gimmicky, and while it's certainly fan service, it's the best kind. The kind that honors and legitimizes what came before. Still, it would be so cool to see more. Now, that's a really good point. Beforehand, I did have my reservations about Spider-Man No Way Home, but the movie seems really good on paper. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being inserted in Spider-Man No Way Home kind of does feel like fan service. And I don't want to feel like, okay, they're there, but did they really serve their purpose? Was there a good reason for them to actually appear in Spider-Man No Way Home? And I didn't want to feel that way. I wanted to feel like they were there for a reason. And I think Spider-Man No Way Home delivers on that. It gives purpose, it gives fan service, and it gives everybody a good time. And it just makes the movie all the better. And you really do feel like Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker really got his redemption when he was able to save someone else's love interest. Through his performance, again, his performance evoked so much emotion. I felt it. I literally almost cried because of the few line deliveries that he gave out. He put so much emotion, and you can tell that he's truly passionate about the character of Spider-Man. And I loved it. And now, actually, to tell you the truth, I was on TikTok the other day, and also, some various apps like Instagram and whatnot, seeing memes all over social media regarding Andrew Garfield and the fans behind it. I saw this meme where a few people were watching, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 back in 2014, and then they ended up going like, oh, yeah, it was all right. We didn't like it, whatnot. Fast forward to 2021, after they saw Spider-Man No Way Home, all of a sudden they love it, and they thought Spider-Man No Way Home was amazing. And then the one guy who's an actual fan of Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker Spider-Man calls out his friend saying, but wait a minute, I thought you guys didn't like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And the friends responded with, oh no, we did. We loved it. We never said that we didn't like it or anything like that. And he was just giving them this funny look. And I feel like a lot of people now, after seeing Spider-Man No Way Home, are jumping on the bandwagon, acting like they really gave a shit about the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, especially The Amazing Spider-Man 2. My opinion on that film still stands the same today. Even after 7 years later, I did not personally enjoy The Amazing Spider-Man 2. There are some good qualities and good aspects of that film that I did like. For instance, the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone's characters, Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. Well, at that time they were dating, which is why their chemistry just emanated off the screen, and it was just very apparent that they're so good together and they act really well together, and that was the most enjoyable part of those movies. But the story was pretty weak. There were so many characters. It was cluttered with so many characters, by the way. And that's where I was worried when I heard that Spider-Man No Way Home would have about maybe 5 or 6 villains. Ever since the release of Spider-Man No Way Home, people have been cheering on Andrew Garfield, and rightfully so. I mean, the man deserves it. I feel like, again, he's been shafted from his Spider-Man franchise, all because he didn't attend some sort of meeting at Sony or something like that, and they just fired him and decided to reboot the franchise with Marvel Studios, and he got the short end of the stick, and I kind of felt bad for him. But don't make it seem like his Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie is all that amazing. Now, more power to you if you like those movies. I'm not going to go ahead and fault you for it. If you love The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, then you know what? Great. You're allowed to like them. But this is my opinion. Yeah, should I think Andrew Garfield should get an Amazing Spider-Man 3 movie? Go ahead, definitely. Give the man another Amazing Spider-Man movie. He definitely deserves it. After that performance that we got in No Way Home, definitely deserves another film. If he were to get another film, let it make sense and give it a purpose for it to exist. Because I don't want Sony just to release an Amazing Spider-Man for the sake of it because people requested it. If it's needed, if it's required, and if the story makes sense, and if Andrew Garfield feels that way, that it does make sense and that it feels right, like he stated in his quote, then go for it. I'm all for it, and I will definitely watch it. I am a fan of all Spider-Man media, but you know what? As a Spider-Man fan, I can tell you this, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I'm going to tell you what Spider-Man content I like and what Spider-Man content I don't like. Spider-Man fans of all kinds, of all shapes and sizes, are welcome to my channel and my community. And you're not a fake fan if you don't like certain movies. Like if you don't like the Tobey Maguire movies, but you love the Amazing Spider-Man movies, you're not a fake fan. If you do not like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but you love the Tobey Maguire movies, you're not a fake fan. If you love the comics, but don't like the movies and like the animated series, you're not a fake fan. Everybody's welcome. If you love Spider-Man, that's what you're here for. That's what you came to my channel for. Don't let people dictate your fandom for a certain character or something. You know, do not let that happen. If you're a fan of something, then you're a fan of something. Whether it be a certain character, whether it be a certain type of media, let's say cartoons, comics, whatever. You like it, you like it. Oh well. It's just so pathetic how people go on the internet, try to seek validation for something, and I'm so sick and tired of seeing it. You got people out here galvanized and treating this like if it's a controversial issue when it really isn't. It's just people making a movement and shouting out to Sony saying, hey, make the Amazing Spider-Man 3 movie. And while others are also ridiculing these people who are making this trend go on social media, like Twitter, for instance. I don't want to turn this into a rant or anything like that, but I kind of just figured I'd bring this up towards the end of this video. I know it's quite the lengthy one, but I thought you guys should know how I'm feeling about this. Let's just hope that the Amazing Spider-Man 3 movie happens. I'm pretty excited for Andrew Garfield. I can't wait to see what else he's going to do with the character if he decides to really come back and play the character once more. And that's all I got for you guys tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so you all don't miss anything. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.